My name is Thomas Grimes. I'm from St. Helena, California. I think these guys have come in and they're treating this experience as a real opportunity and they're acting like professionals. I think like you send a lot of kids to a foreign country that could go really wrong, but they're actually taking care of themselves, treating this like the opportunity that it is, and like training's been high intensity, and I think that they're taking care of their bodies, recovering gym. That's like refreshing to see from a little bit younger athletes. You don't see that a lot. So I was like average, like my all club career, I was bang average. And then I got to high school kind of age 14, 15, and I was still average. And like I was kind of athletic, but like I really just struggled sometimes with just the pace of the game and everything. And yeah, out of high school, like I had really bad grades too coming out of high school. Like I kind of was figuring it out towards the end, like had a few looks, but like just nothing was able to come of it because I had bad grades. So I went and I played D3 soccer in near like Cincinnati in Ohio, and that was a very unconventional route, but like I really excelled on the field, and like that led me to that opportunity at Cal, which I've taken and run with. I tell kids like you don't need to have it figured out like right now. Like I didn't have it figured out, and I was 18, like sitting at home, like committing to a D3 school. Like this is not what I wanted to do, and then it turned out to be one of the best things that happened to me. Like I think these players have to be realistic too, though. Like they have to be able to look at themselves, and you need to know, like if, like I could look at you and tell you like you're not good enough to play D1, but they need to be able to look at you and look at themselves like I'm not ready for that level yet, but you can be, right? It just takes a little bit, and that level is just so different. It's just so much more physical. I think that's the biggest thing. And a lot of the players that are here, I think that are players that kind of don't excel in that area and are looking for kind of an alternative style, right? And the Spanish football is so different. It's a lot more cerebral and it's a lot more based off intelligence and tactics, whereas, college soccer, especially Division I soccer in America, is you see a lot of hoofball. You'll see a lot of like just big physical play, like Route One, which like it works and teams win games, but like development wise, like sometimes that can kind of stunt players' growth a little bit if they're in a system that's like that. So
Yeah.
realistically, if you're this age, if you're 17, 18 years old and you're asking how do I play Division I soccer, like you're well behind. And like it might take you going to a JUCO or a D3 or a D2, right? Like the Division I schools, like not only have they finished recruiting for the 25s, but they've also finished for the 26s, right? So they're recruiting sophomores now, or they're watching, like that's where they're at. So not all those ships have sailed, but most of them have. And so like to be able to be realistic and say, hey, like what's my next best option? Or I'm not telling these kids they don't have hope to go D1 now, but like you don't have to, right? The new JUCO rules, like you can go to a JUCO and save your eligibility, right, and develop physically. And there's plenty of other alternatives like taking a gap year, right? And then the D1 schools, like that's another option. Eric Duncan, who actually just was drafted by Montreal out of Cal, was one of those players that was at a JUCO and then went to Spain and then came back, right? So there's plenty of other alternative routes if that D1 was not to happen right away, which is unlikely at this stage, right? I think like I was always good about reaching out to schools. Like you have to be writing emails. Like you have to want to put yourself out there. But like work ethic wise, like I didn't take care of my grades. I didn't take care of my body, and I didn't take care of like my sleep, nutrition. Like in the gym. Like that wasn't it. I was always like on the field. And like there's so much more that goes into it that like I really didn't figure out until I was in college, right? It took me that D3 year to like figure out like this is how you need to carry yourself in order to play at the top level, right? And then you get to the top level and it's the same thing: sleep, diet, nutrition, training. So that was what I would have changed for sure. So like if you're good enough, you'll make it. That's just the bottom line. Who you know is important. You get your foot in the door somewhere, it's good. Like I got my foot in the door at Cal and I ran with it, right? But I didn't get there because like I was like calling, begging, like, which like when you're younger, it's important to send emails and stuff. But I got there because I had proved myself that I was a really good goalkeeper, right? And so like if they, yeah, it's important who you know, but it's also important that who you know knows who you are, right? They're not just gonna give you charity looks, charity roster spots. That's not gonna happen.
And then
I think like I'm not scared to say how it is, but also like a program like this, I'll be honest, like a lot of the other stuff is just money grabs, and it's like a pay to play kind of thing, but like this is like a highly competitive way to preserve eligibility and to play at a high level. That's the biggest point. Is like this is a way for players that aren't maybe physically as developed that want to play college soccer to preserve their eligibility and still play ball, right? Like that's a big factor here. And then obviously the affiliations with UNH to study online, and the public universities and private universities here, like you're still going to be able to take classes. Like that's another thing that some of these other programs, agencies, they don't take into consideration. Like you can come here and you can play and you can study. Well, the studies are crap and the level's crap. This is a high level and high level education as well. You got, you know, a full-time staff that treat this like a professional club, and that's the atmosphere that are going to help players get better, right? I mean, it's cool for me to kind of come in and kind of see because I mean, I was in a lot of these guys' shoes when I was and I never had this opportunity or had an opportunity like this to kind of come and figure it out kind of on my own, and like stylistically it's so different, but like coming into this, I think like my perspective on the game has kind of shifted a little bit. Like, you know, the Spanish, especially from a goalkeeping perspective, like it's just so different. It's much more of a, you know, a cerebral IQ kind of game, and like, you know, that suits a lot of the players that are here. And so like it's definitely like something that these players can like aspire to, like, okay, well, I've seen this style here, here, and here. I know that suits me. Like, how do I get there? And Select Generation is like a program that's going to help those players maybe get to college, maybe go higher up the ladder in Spain. Like, you never really know. So it's just like, it's one of those things that's like you get in what you put out, you go as far as you want. And like, if you're treating this like a professional experience, of the players that I've been highly impressed with are the ones that are showing the most professionalism. Like, those are going to be the ones that are going to go to the very top, because they are treating this like what it is, which is a professional atmosphere. So that's important.